That is me flying around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That is a jug that Nolan and I peed in for 24 hours. And this is Nolan realizing we used him as a test subject without telling him.
I peed in a bucket for 2 days, made other concessions. Are you for real right now?
He wasn't too happy, to say the least. Now, what do all these things have in common? They all play a role in our pursuit to answer the question, can driving fast be addictive? Is the so-called need for speed a real thing? Today, we're gonna hit the track and talk about two of my favorite subjects, driving fast and what's going on inside Nolan's body. Let's go. Your body is a wonder.
Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Going all the way back to 2019, Raycon has been supporting our shows. In fact, today marks the 21st Raycon sponsorship, and to be quite frank, guys, I really don't know what more I can say to convince you to buy these things. Jeremiah uses them, Joe uses them. This pair right here is my own personal pair that I use pretty much every dang day. I've never had any weird Bluetooth connectivity or any issues. These things just work. We've said pretty much everything there is to say about the everyday E25 earbuds, so I figured today we could just list everything you've learned over the past 21 spots. Number one, they've got 6 hours of playtime. Number two, they come in a comfortable, compact, noise isolating design. Number three, with a full range of colors and patterns, there's a pair for everyone. Number four, they sound just as good as the other premium brands, but they're only half the price. And last but definitely not least, number five, Raycon offers a free 45-day return policy. And I think that's everything. As we've always said about Raycon, whether you're taking up a new hobby or just want to make your day-to-day a little more comfortable, Raycons are the perfect way to bring premium sound to everything you do. So click the link in the description below or go to buyraycon.com/bumper and get 15% off your Raycon purchase today. Now let's get back to Jeremiah's handsome face. Thank you very much, Raycon.
Besides video games, when I hear need for speed, I think of people addicted to driving their car fast, or the so-called adrenaline junkies. What exactly is adrenaline, and why do we like it, and how does driving fast release it? Adrenaline, also called epinephrine, is a hormone. You can think of hormones as a type of chemical messenger flowing through your bloodstream and causing various cells it comes in contact with to act differently than they normally would. It's like when I'm at a party with my current girlfriend and my ex-girlfriend walks in. My ex being there causes me to act differently. Now, on top of each of your kidneys are your adrenal glands. During stressful, exciting, or dangerous situations, these glands release various hormones, like adrenaline, into your bloodstream. This is known as a fight or flight response because you're in danger. Your body prepares to fight or take flight, even though humans can't fly. Unless I got my Jordans on and I can fly like an eagle. The adrenaline released during this fight or flight response causes a noticeable boost in strength and reaction speeds. It does this by dilating air passages to increase the oxygen intake. Then when adrenaline comes in contact with your cardiac pacemaker cells, your heart rate increases, sending that extra oxygen to your brain and all the other tissues in your body, like your muscles. Boom! The body's sensitivity to pain also decreases as a result of adrenaline, which is why you can continue running from or fighting danger even when you're injured. Most people really like this feeling, even if it's triggered by dangerous situations. But just because something is enjoyable doesn't make it technically addictive. A pattern of addiction is defined by three events. First, experimentation. In our case, we're talking about experimenting with driving fast or dangerously, which would produce a thrill response full of adrenaline. The next step is withdrawal. This is when the thrill seeker in question experiences an overpowering desire to recreate the events that first produced that initial response. The third step is preoccupation, when all the addict can think about or do is seek out their next experience. So do adrenaline junkies follow this same cycle? Currently, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Addictions, which is basically like the Bible for diagnosing and treating addiction, it doesn't recognize adrenaline as an addictive substance. Pathological gambling earned a spot in that same manual recently, so it's possible that pathological adrenaline seeking could be added soon. They should add pathological liars to that list too. My sister, she's a liar. Do I forgive you? Absolutely not. Do I want my truck back? Yes, please. But maybe it isn't the adrenaline that's so addictive. Maybe it's a different chemical coursing through our veins during an adrenaline rush. Maybe it's a hormone called dopamine.
Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that has a variety of different roles in our central nervous system.
That's addiction expert Dr. Robert Heron. Dr. Robert Heron. Dr. Robert Heron.
Dr. Robert Heron. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Sydney in the Brain and Mind Center.
Now, dopamine is the chemical messenger that lets us know when something feels good or pleasurable.
One of its main functions is for motor control and motor movement, but most people know it as this sort of pleasure neurotransmitter because of its starring role in our brain's reward systems.
To put it simply, our brain releases dopamine as a reward for when we do something it likes. Eat some food, have some dopamine. Win 20 bucks on a scratcher, have some dopamine. Brush hands with Taylor from 6th period American history. Best dopamine out there. Hope you're doing good, Taylor.
They were in high school when...
The interesting thing about this stimulus reward system is that once we learn to predict a dopamine reward, it's the anticipation of the activity, not the activity itself, that keeps us hooked. And that's exactly what we wanted to test in our little experiment involving Nolan, P, and driving some Indy cars. So we set out to the NASCAR experience in Las Vegas to try to gain some insight into 3 things. Can driving fast cause an increase in adrenaline and dopamine levels? Could the anticipation of driving fast cause just as strong of a response? And ultimately, are these levels of dopamine enough to encourage a compulsive pattern of behavior? Is the need for speed real? To help us answer the first question, we set up a simple experiment. A week before we left for Vegas, I collected a baseline of my adrenaline and dopamine levels on a benign week of the day with no dangerous or thrilling stimulus. And when I say collect a baseline, I mean I peed in a jug for 24 hours and then I sent it off to the lab. Then the following week, we drove to Las Vegas Motor Speedway and I collected another 24-hour sample after I drove an Indy car 155 miles an hour. And then we sent that off to a lab. I'll get back to the results of that experiment in a bit, but now we need to talk about how to answer the second question. Could the mere anticipation of a dangerous activity be enough to induce an adrenal response? Well, how can you make someone anticipate that they're going to have this amazing experience of racing an Indy car around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway without actually having them race an Indy car around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway? Oh yeah, you just lie to them. I get it from my sister, what can I say? All we had to do was tell Nolan that he was going to get to drive an Indy car, and then right before takeoff, we would cut the engine, pull him out from the car, and never let him actually drive the car. We would measure his dopamine levels and see if there was any reaction from the anticipation alone. So the week before we drove to Vegas, I sat down with Nolan and I was like, hey, do you want to go drive some Indy cars with us in Vegas for an experiment on adrenaline? And he was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Oh, and could you also pee in this jug for 24 hours? It's part of the experiment. And he was like, sure, Jeremiah, you're a good friend and I trust you. Big mistake. So we got to the track and we met up with Scott and Todd. There's 2 guys that worked with us during our time there. Super nice guys. What's up, Scott and Todd? We got Nolan in a suit and helmet. Nolan and I did a short safety meeting and we headed out to the track. Now, just to collect some more data, we were also monitoring our heart rates. And needless to say, Nolan was a little excited.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like really excited. Heart rate is at, I'm walking, so 110. Yeah, I got a big head, so 128. I am kind of nervous.
I think I'm more nervous to tell Nolan.
Heart rate is at 117. All right, to be honest, pretty nerve-wracking right now. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, so you know, like in any like experimental design, you have to have a control. So we needed to figure out whether or not the racing or the buildup of racing determines any adrenaline rush.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to ask you to get out of the car.
man.
So we pulled Nolan out of the car and had him pee in another jug for the next couple hours so we could analyze his adrenaline and dopamine levels. So what were the results of our experiment? Does driving fast alone cause an increase in adrenaline and dopamine? Well, for me, no. My adrenaline levels were actually higher on my control day than they were the day that I went out on the track. What about Nolan? Was his anticipation and excitement enough to produce a response? Well, his adrenaline levels did increase, but not by very much. However, his dopamine levels, those suckers spiked up. So in Nolan's case, yes, just the anticipation did cause a response, which is pretty cool. I drove the car and didn't show any increase in adrenaline or dopamine, while Nolan, on the other hand, he didn't drive at all, yet he had a huge spike. So that shows how much these reactions in our bodies really happen in our minds. As far as our final question, is a dopamine spike, like Nolan's, enough to encourage a compulsive pattern of behavior? It depends on how you define addiction.
There is one theory of addiction that posits that we can become addicted to anything that's rewarding or has hedonic properties, like racing does, like shopping even. But most people can take part in all of these activities that result in these dopamine spikes, and they never become addicted. Theoretically, to answer your question, it's possible that you could become addicted, but it's unlikely.
So thanks to all our guys over at the NASCAR Racing Experience. They were a huge part of getting this small but very fun donut case study / experiment going. They also did a great job of playing along and keeping Nolan in the dark. If you're interested in driving an Indy car or a NASCAR around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we got a link in the description below. Click that and you can go get all the details. And in case you're mad at me for screwing over Nolan, please don't, okay? He actually did get to drive around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He just had to wait an hour until we were able to conduct a second urine test.
It's so much fun.
If you want even more donut content, some behind the scenes stuff, we were in Vegas, the whole B2B team. Go join the Donut Underground. It's a special membership. You get stickers, 4 stickers a year. You get to chat with us on the Discord. You get to see cool behind the scenes videos that we can't release on our main channel because, you know, it's not for everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram at Jeremiah Burton. Come be my friend. I need your friendship. Until next week. Bye for now.
What's up, guys? Welcome to my house. I've got some huge news. The Pop-Up Up and Downs t-shirt was a huge success. Not surprised, it's the coolest shirt we've ever designed. We worked really hard, and hard work pays off. We liked it so much that we've decided to carry it over to a hoodie. Because if you think about it, a hoodie is a Pop-Up Up and Down sweatshirt. I'm really stoked about these. I can't wait to get my hands on one. That's right, it's so new, I don't even have mine yet. So go to donutmedia.com, it's available now. The t-shirt's sold out super fast, and I guarantee the hoodie's gonna go just as fast. Pop-Up Up and Down sweatshirt. donutmedia.com. donutmedia.com. donutmedia.com.